our baseball is back intro is not yet ready, so we cannot celebrate the greatest baseball game ever played that I don't believe anyone here, except for Jeremy, lasted until the end of. Mike Ryan got woken by his television and, groggily ran over to it to turn it off because surely the game's still not going on at 2:30, but it was still the game. It wasn't a re-air. It wasn't one of those re-airs that you get, you get of the Marlins or the Rays the next day of a night game the day before because they've got to fill the programming. That had to be confusing to people last night at 3 a.m. to be stumbling towards your television and to see an empty Dodger bullpen and Shohei Ohtani walked 5 times in a game.
I feel like today, all around on radio, on television, all the sports shows, like let's just point out who's lying about having watched the entire game last night. There's gonna be so many liars today.
You got to figure that very few people made it through that who aren't diehard baseball fans.
But everyone's going to portray that they saw it.
Well, I got caught up this morning, right? I was watching this morning with my wife. She had a whole lot of commentary on what we were watching. She asked why Clayton Kershaw, she doesn't know who Clayton Kershaw is, obviously, but why he looked so old. She thought he was in his 50s. I'm like, that's the greatest left-handed pitcher ever. And she's like, it looks like the Big Lebowski. It looks like Jeff Bridges from the Big Lebowski.
Looks like the dude?
Put up this photo.
He said,
if it was lefty, it'd be close.
They brought in Jeff Bridges in the 12th inning. I don't know if you guys saw that particular at bat. Dodger fans, that had to be as scared as they were all season. Bringing him in with the bases loaded, seeing him go to a 3-2 count, seeing him throw 2 balls that he got bailed out on with foul balls and get out of the inning. But put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Did Clayton Kershaw look older than Sandy Koufax last night? Because the other thing that my wife had as commentary was Sandy Koufax was in the stand. She's like, that person's too old to be dealing with 2 baseball games, essentially, 18 innings of baseball. And I'm like, but he began the game as a young man, as a toddler. He started, and he's just 90 now. I wanted them, by extra innings, I wanted them to just start putting runners on second again, like they do during the regular season. It's dumb that they do it differently during the postseason than they do it during the regular season. The regular season rule is just, hey, let's wrap this up.
Well, I mean, we saw that was the hockey version. That was the Stanley Cup playoff version we saw last night. I mean, we get that game last night, once a playoff in the Stanley Cup playoffs, where they end up playing 2 games. And, all right, we got it for baseball. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I saw the game. I'm not.
We don't get a lot of 3 overtime games in hockey, Zaz. We don't get a lot.
You'll get it once a postseason.
You get one that goes to like 2 a.m. a postseason.
Had it gone 20 innings, Koufax would have been in the bullpen warming up. Look, even if it's a triple overtime hockey game, it doesn't last 6 hours and 39 minutes. That's excruciating. It was great. Wait a minute.
Brilliant.
It was great. It's the greatest baseball game any of us have ever seen.
It would have been if it ended in 12.
Well, if any of us had seen it. It would have been the greatest baseball game anyone had ever seen if anyone had seen it to completion.
I chose to go to bed after 17. I watched the 17th inning in my bed on my phone, and then Ohtani makes the final out of 17. I'm like, oh, am I going to wait?
So you stayed up until
innings?
2:30 to then just miss 1 inning of action.
I mean, I'm falling.
Why was 17?
Because I'm falling asleep.
Woof.
I can tell you why. It was the 7th inning nap. That's what you needed. The 17th inning nap.
17th inning.
The 17th inning.
I wish you had a photo, like a fly on the wall, staring at me while I was just crushing pretzels in the 14th inning.
That's the move, right? In order to stay awake for these late games, like I'll go get a box of Cheez-Its.
I'm wandering around my living room. By the 12th inning, I was ready to fall asleep.
You got to stand.
And so I stood for basically the rest of the game. And I was just like falling slowly all over the place, stumbling just to keep myself awake so that I could watch what was the most brilliant baseball game I've ever seen.
How we feeling about this over here?
Are you green with envy?
It's a little dark. I don't know. It's on the line. Can we have like a first base ump to check the swing here?
Did he go?
Is this racist? Roy? Checking the swing?
Why asking Roy?
All right.
Wow, he did not go.
Thank God.
You got to think about it a little bit.
I saw that all of a sudden the bolts were being put in Jeremy's neck right before we started. We forgot that part of the costume. I do want to go back for a second on Greg Cody and just marvel at the greatness that is Greg Cody. I have an assortment of Greg Cody sound that we're going to get to in a second from the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody, but I just want to sort of rewind on the telestrator what happened seconds ago and warn the audience that we're going to get a worse version of Greg Cody than we usually do because this mask is distracting and will weigh him down. These costumes are hard to do. Every time I do one, I leave here with a headache, like physically leave here with a headache. You
looked spent yesterday in your big wool suit.
Yeah, it was hard to do. It is hard to do. And what Greg just did, and you will see this deteriorate over the course of the show, he tried to make a seventh inning stretch joke about the 17th inning nap. He called it the 7th inning nap. The joke didn't make any sense. Right. He shouldn't have spoken. He instead spoke poorly, botched the joke, then tried to correct it, and it wasn't a joke worth telling in the first place, even if he had told it correctly.
7 doesn't divide into 17. Like, maybe if it was the 14th, you could have said, 14th inning
I don't
stretch.
think that saying the 17th inning nap, I don't think anyone correlated that to the 7th inning stretch.
Yeah,
which
17th. Yeah, it worked. If I'd gotten it nailed at first and said the 7th inning nap, it would have killed. But nothing is better for a joke that didn't quite hit than over-analyzing it and reviewing it like this guy just did. That's what really works.
All right. I believe this is exactly the appropriate coverage that we should have after the greatest baseball game ever played, the greatest World Series game ever played. Freddie Freeman is now the only player in the history of the World Series and the history of that sport, which obviously has a lot of history, to have multiple walk-off game winners. This one straight to center field, off a left-hander, Little. Like the beginning of that at bat, you could see that he scared Little by how much he had him timed. Hits a foul ball that is screeching, and then works a 3-1 count. The 3-2 pitch should have been ball 4. But instead, they called it a strike, and then what happens is he hits the ball still over the center field fence. Is Freddie Freeman – I know Hank Aaron exists, okay, and the advanced metrics will tell us more about on-base percentage and slugging, and Hank Aaron will forever be, I assume, the greatest Brave. But is Freddie Freeman the second greatest Brave that there has ever been? Because Dale Murphy won a couple of MVPs.
We're only doing hitters?
Well, because you want to do Greg Maddux?
Yeah, like I want to do Maddux and Glavine. Yeah.
I think Larry's better than
Smoltz.
Freddie.
You think Chipper Jones is better than Freddie Freeman?
I think they probably hold Chipper in higher regard.
The reason I'm only doing hitters is because they play every day, right? So I don't think of I guess I could say that certain best players in franchise histories are pitchers, but when you play once every fifth day, I don't think of you as.
I think Mike's right. I think it's Chipper. I think Mike's right. But I will tell you, I feel like is Freddie Freeman the most likable player in baseball?
No.
Why do you say that?
His teeth.
Those teeth were gleaming. Those perfect fake teeth were gleaming as he rounded the bases. They
Looks
are
like
perfect.
the mask.
They are perfect. They are too perfect. Your objection is that they're too perfect.
It's like Matt Dillon and Something About Mary. What are we doing?
He's so likable, Freddie Freeman. How do you not root for him?
I don't like him.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do Freddie Freeman's teeth look like Matt Dillon in Something About Mary? Because
what a movie.
They do look a bit oversized, and they do look a little bit too perfect, especially perfect while rounding the bases. How many of you, Roy, did you I know that Chris reached out to his father and asked him by text, how deep did you get into the game? And he said, by the time the Chiefs scored the third touchdown, I was out. So that's not
not that game.
The World Series, the fourth touchdown.
When the football game scored. Became 28-7, I went to bed. I don't know exactly when that was in the baseball game.
Probably like
I
the
was
seventh
tossing
inning.
back and forth.
It was, Jeremy, I want some of your thoughts as someone who did get to the end of that baseball game. There have to be some statistics from that game that have never been seen in the history of the sport. I don't think that Dodger fans were more nervous at any point than when Clayton Kershaw was in the game with the bases loaded. And my guess is that they were questioning Dave Roberts, even though he went lefty on lefty, for bringing in Clayton Kershaw in that spot. I'm so happy that Clayton Kershaw got that out because the last outing of Clayton Kershaw's postseason was a total disaster and would have been the punctuation on his Dodger career, where he's just sort of hanging on as the greatest left-hander ever to just get a ring that he didn't deserve because he wasn't doing much of anything effective by the end.
Dave Roberts had talked about wanting to bring in Kershaw at some point during the World Series, but that was like with the hope that you had an 8-1 lead in the ninth inning, that type of deal, where maybe that ends up happening in a clinching game and he gets to be on the mound. That's really honestly what I'm kind of rooting for at this moment. But to see him in that moment come in and throw 6 pitches, 5 of which were sliders at 89 miles an hour, and 1 of which was a fastball at 91 miles an hour, because that was the hardest pitch he's thrown since July of last year. The guy has nothing left in that arm. He's got the grays everywhere in the beard, and he comes in the biggest moment, 3-2, bases loaded, 2 outs, and gets out of it. And you thought, oh man, well surely the Dodgers are going to walk off now. And then there were 6 more innings played.
So what's going to be the fallout now? Because they used like 10 pitchers last night, and they're playing again tonight.
Everybody was used.
Yeah.
I mean, Shane Bieber, the starter for today, was out in the bullpen getting ready. Yamamoto, who threw a complete game in Game 2, he was out warming up in the bullpen in the 18th inning. I mean, Will Klein.
It'd be crazy if
The Will
Yamamoto
Klein story is
came in.
insane. The guy who threw 4 innings.
He pitched 4 innings, and he only allowed a couple of hits.
1 hit. 1 hit to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's a guy who's 25 years old and had a career 5.16 ERA
Got the
going
win.
into last night. He throws 4 shutout innings. Mind you, that's like 5 hours after Tyler Glasnow only threw 4 2/3 to start the game and allowed a couple of runs himself.
I mean, for Toronto, this Eric Lauer pitched more than the starter Matt Scherzer
That's right.
did.
He threw 4 2/3 innings, and Max Scherzer only threw 4 1/3.
So is everything screwed up for tonight
Yes,
now? Or?
of course.
I mean, everybody's thrown.
But it's gonna be one of
everybody.
those. Okay, yeah.
And these are the 2 teams that had the most comeback wins in baseball. They're 2 teams that, by the way, have bad bullpens. Those are mediocre bullpens for teams that have gotten to the World Series. The fact that they pitched the way they did, that's why it's the greatest game ever played, because you had a bunch of nobodies.
And there's going to be carryover.
And in
for
the
next couple
middle of
games.
it, you had Clayton Kershaw come in there as the first ballot Hall of
That is
Famer and get
not, that
one
is
out.
not why it's the greatest game ever played. It's the greatest game ever played because it went 18 innings. The fact that the bullpens are bad is particularly interesting when you consider the Blue Jays really mash. They really hit the baseball. They had 4 runs by the 4th inning and finished with 5 runs once they got into that bullpen, which is the Dodgers' only weakness. The Dodger bullpen is the only weakness that baseball team has, and it gave them, this is crazy to say, 14 innings against that offense of 1-run baseball. 14 innings.
Those bullpens did pitch well, but it should be noted that the ball was not flying. Like they kept commenting how it's going to be colder tonight. It was colder last night. It's going to be warmer. The ball will be flying better tonight. And I loved hearing Smoltz throughout the game just deteriorate and get annoyed with how every ball. How many balls to the warning track were there in extra innings?
Well, that's what it was.
Every
they were back
inning,
to
it
back.
felt like they were excited about a ball leaving the park, and then it would just be. It was a game of inches.
In the 13th inning, you had a bunt from Miguel Rojas that was like one of the most beautiful bunts you're ever going to see. It almost hit him in the face. It almost hit him in the face, and he laid it down on the sacrifice bunt. And then you end up with intentional walks to both Ohtani and Betts to load the bases to get to Freddie Freeman, where you're thinking, all right, here's his moment where he'll walk off. And he hits a bomb, and it dies at the warning track.
He could tell right away. He could tell it wasn't out.
But then in the next inning, in the 14th, Will Smith comes up, and he thinks he got all of it.
He pimped
and
it.
Also dies at the warning track. That's why the Freeman home run is so crazy, because the temperature was dropping the further we got throughout the game. They kept mentioning it's going to be 90 degrees tomorrow. The ball's going to be flying. Every reason for tonight's game to be one of those games where it's like 11-9, because bullpens are tired. Starting pitchers are going to need to go deep. And, the starting pitcher for the Dodgers, it's Shohei Ohtani.
Dan, you know about that Ohtani?
He's a pretty good baseball player. They didn't want to be pitching to him last night, and he hit a home run anyway early in the game.
Can I beg the question? Okay, you decided after 4. Why'd you make that face?
Because you can't beg the question. That's
be the
not
person.
appropriately
Start by
said.
begging.
I'm gonna beg this question.
Start by begging.
It begs a
Why
question.
Why
Beg
didn't
the
they walk
question.
him earlier in the game? First base was open on 3 of his first at bats. You just figured out that he's good after 4 for 4? Because after 4 for 4, they're like, now we clearly can never pitch to him again. I mean, I a little hindsight here. Like what? Like you're just gonna throw to him until he goes 4 for 4 with 2 doubles and 2 home runs. Oh, and then you're gonna have this groundbreaking idea. Hey, let's not pitch to him anymore. Probably should have done that the first 3 at bats when first base was open.
I mean, the second home run, you're
Should have
up.
started the game.
You're
Walk
up.
him.
Okay, so he starts the game with the double, and you're saying you should have intentionally walked him to begin the game. Do you think they're going to do that today?
I'm just saying they made the decision midway through the game. We're done pitching to him.
Yeah, because he was 4 for 4 with 4 extra base hits, 2 of which were home runs, and the second one was a game-tying home run. But when you're up by 1, you're not going to intentionally walk him to get to Betts where now they could take a lead. You let the solo run hurt you.
Yeah,
but
you idiot.
God, he's amazing. He's the greatest athlete who's ever lived. He is.
I mean,
Fact. End of discussion. Greatest athlete who's ever lived. Do you know who he's in conversations with both on the mound and at the plate? I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go try to create a Venn diagram of all of the different people he's just joined statistically.
Yeah, you go.
I'm gonna go. You guys are gonna miss me, but I'm gonna go.
No, I'm not normally in favor of your Venn diagrams, but if it means you'll leave, I'm going to be in favor.
I love you too.
I'm going to be in favor of that, and you can leave for a second.
Have fun having this conversations with a
Babe
bunch of
Ruth.
people that have not watched the game.
Oh, we're not going to have the conversation.
We weren't having fun with the conversation that was with the person that was watching.
I'm also
the
skeptical
game.
that Jeremy watched it.
Are you?
He was in the group text until like 1 a.m. I know he popped up at 3 a.m.
There's
and
going to be a
tweeted
lot of
about it.
liars today. I already
I'm just
told you that.
saying, there was a big gap in the group text. He was involved until like 1 a.m. and then
I'm willing to hear
It was
this.
it was me and Kyle Seeloff into the wee hours. I didn't see any of Jeremy in the group
Pick that
text.
name up.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are there going to be a lot of liars in the media today about having watched all 18 innings of that game?
I'm going 90% of the people on television and radio today who are talking about the game and claiming they saw it did not.
Well,